And what I was, hi, welcome. What I was thinking to explore a little bit more about today is what in Buddhism we call the feeling tones, or the second foundation of mindfulness. And what it basically means is that, or I like to say, like, life comes in 3 flavors. That's it. And those flavors are, we experience whatever is we're experiencing as either pleasant, unpleasant, or neither pleasant nor unpleasant. That's it. Covers everything. Very nice, right? So like, you don't have to remember much more. And that the fact that we experience things as either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral has really big implications. And that is what I want to explore a little bit, and how we can work with that so that those flavors are more supportive instead of hijacking us. Yeah. So in the bigger structure of like, where are those teachings located? It's the second foundation of mindfulness. So there are 4 foundations of mindfulness. That is like one of the core teachings, like one of the core suttas, where we're pulling a lot of the teachings from the insight meditation tradition. And the first foundation is mindfulness of the body. So when we're doing like mindful movement or mindful walking or mindfulness of the breath, mindfulness of body awareness, mindfulness of sounds, all of those are mindfulness of the body. And it's really important that we start there because that's where we are. Yeah, well, or we should be, I should say, right? Because what we notice is how often we're actually not in the body, but somewhere out there in space. Yeah, and the stories of either the past or the stories of the future. And then the second foundation, right? So first we're like really coming back to our experience, our direct moments experience. But then as we're becoming more aware of what we're experiencing, we will, when we pay attention to it, and we're like, our system always knows whether something is pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And it actually acts on that. So if something is unpleasant, what is your reaction? What do you do? See Joe, like, some version of that. Does that make sense? Yeah, we don't want it. We push it away. How does that feel in your body? Do you know? Constricting? Yeah. Tense, right? Yeah. So more close in, right? So anybody else has some, like, you don't want something. You want to escape. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Right. So we try to get away from it. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Makes total sense. Yeah. Until it's not helpful. So we'll get to that part. Then if something is pleasant in your experience, what do you automatically do? Yeah. Grasping, holding on, we want more, we want to hold on to it. And there's, again, nothing wrong with that until it gets painful, what we're doing. Yeah. So those are 2. What about neither pleasant nor pleasant? Yeah, exactly. Right. We go like, what? Exactly. Yeah. So basically what we do is we go between pleasant and unpleasant. Yeah. And so what we try to do is we try to maximize pleasant experience and minimize and get away from unpleasant. That sounds, sounds accurate about? Okay. So the problem with that is, so if we can actually get away, that's great. Or if we can change what is unpleasant, that's great. But what if we can't? Or if we spend a huge amount of energy of trying to change something that in the bigger picture actually isn't that important. Yeah. So what are our options then? Or if something is pleasant, yeah, and you might have already heard that like things change and things are impermanent, yeah. So again, nothing wrong with fully enjoying and being with pleasant, but what if you can't hold on to it? Or this is a very common one. You can see if you recognize that. While something is pleasant, you're already afraid that it will change. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. So you're not even going fully in because you're like, oh, well, this will be taken away from me, right? And so we're kind of living like half-assed in, at least in regards to that, right? So not helpful. So, and then with a third one, that is very interesting, right? So we're kind of toggling between trying to get away from unpleasant, trying to have more pleasant experiences. That can be very exhausting. Have you noticed that? Yeah, we can spend a lot of energy with getting rid of this, holding on to this, making more of that. And at the meantime, there is a whole world out there that like flies under radar, which is the neither pleasant nor unpleasant, right? So right now, I'm inviting you to feel your right hand. And if you have issues, like if you're like, sometimes people have medical problems, so, and use the left hand or use another body part. But so right now, what are you noticing in your right hand? Or can you feel your right hand when you bring your attention to it? What do you notice? What's that like? Warmth, yeah, warmth. What else? Anything else? Gravity, yeah, yeah. Coldness, weight, sure, yeah. Contact, right? Can you feel like whatever your hand is touching? Yeah, you could like, I can feel like the fabric of my pants here, right? And I can feel like my thumb is lying on this like microphone thingy, right? So what's the flavor of that? Where would it neutral? Yeah, yeah, right. Um, so where was like were you aware of that before I asked you that question? So what happened there? Isn't that interesting? Yeah. And is it like, I mean, it's neutral, but like, what do you notice when you start paying attention to something neutral? More clarity, it becomes interesting. Yeah. Anything else? Thankful that it's not unpleasant. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Uh-huh. Many other things I know, right? That's kind of like, oh my God, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Presence. Yeah. Right? Presence. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So like, oh, I can, there's something here to feel, which is not unpleasant. Where like for some people more clarity. Yeah. So sometimes people notice like, oh, I'm not in my head. I'm actually here, presence, feeling this instead of just being worried or in my mind story. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. And we can explore why that is a little bit after the meditation. Yeah, but so that is the kind of the foundation that I want to set before we're exploring this in our meditation. Yeah. So what we'll do is, and again, like so, mindfulness has the qualities of openness and curiosity, not nosy, but curious, right? So more like a childlike curiosity of just like, what is this? Yeah. What is here? Yeah, and so in that way, we turn towards our experience, all of them, the unpleasant, the pleasant, and also the neither pleasant nor unpleasant. And we'll just see what's there. And then we see what's going on. Yeah. So we'll start our meditation now. So I'm inviting you to find a posture that is comfortable. And so inviting you to either close the eyes or just lower the gaze, whatever helps you to be most present. And to bring the awareness to where the body is in contact right now with whatever you're sitting on. So the cushion or the chair. I don't know, folks at home, if you might be on a bed, so then noticing that. And then if you've been doing this for a while, you know what is a good anchor for you. And for many people, that's the breath. So something that anchors us in the present moment by feeling it, sensing it. But that could also be like the feet on the ground or your hands. But if you're using the breath, then inviting you to just make the next few rounds of breathing a little bit longer and deeper. And let yourself really feel the breath. So let it become from a more abstract thing or a concept to an actually felt experience. And if at any time my guidance isn't helpful, just feel free to just drop below my words. And if you have been taking some longer, deeper breaths, at some point, just letting the breath flow naturally, but still being with it, feeling it. And this place, or your anchor, is the place you can return to whenever you find yourself lost in thoughts. And so we will go through the like 3 flavors one by one, and you might not find them all, right? So maybe there is something pleasant or unpleasant, maybe there's not. You will very likely find something neutral, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. And maybe you'll find all 3. And that's part of the exploration that we're about to do. And so now inviting you to see if there's anything in your experience right now that you would label unpleasant. So it could be something physical. So maybe you have a pain or discomfort in the body. Or an emotional state that feels unpleasant, like anxiety or overwhelm or grief, or lots of different emotions that we don't really like. Or maybe it's a recurring thought. And then seeing if you can just become curious about it. If it is helpful, you can label it very lightly. So you could say unpleasant, unpleasant. And if you can't find something, then you can work with something neutral. But if you find something, then can you be curious of what makes this unpleasant? So, or how do you know this is unpleasant? And there's no right answer for this, obviously. It's more we want to be curious. So, like, what is this? Why do I experience this as unpleasant? And how is unpleasant showing up? And then you might even be able to see the experience that is labeled as unpleasant and then your reaction to it. And can you see that those are two different things? Can you separate from this is unpleasant and I don't want this, or this needs to go away? And remember, you can always come back to your anchor to help you ground, to be present. And now releasing the unpleasant as best as you can. And looking for something that you would experience or label as pleasant right now. So scanning your experience in this moment. Could be something in the body. So maybe the way that your sweater feels, or being in community. Maybe the breath feels pleasant. And then again, becoming curious. So, what makes this pleasant? How do you know it's pleasant? Can you allow this to be here, or can you feel this tentative thing that we mentioned earlier? And now opening awareness to something that is neither pleasant nor unpleasant. So it could be the temperature in the room, or the traffic sounds, or any other sensation in the body, or your emotional state right now. And again, you can make a light label like neutral, neutral. Or you can also ask, so why is this neutral? And now inviting you to open awareness and to become aware that more often than not, all three are present at the same time, or at least two of them. And they often change. They can shapeshift. You can kind of lean back and open up so you don't have to lean forward to experience, but lean back and let experience just come to you. And just being curious. And sometimes one thing is more in the foreground and then another, but making sure it's not just the unpleasant that's in the foreground. And if it is very strong, something unpleasant, it can be very helpful to ask yourself, what else is here? What else can I bring into awareness in this moment? And so the rest of the meditation now will be in silence. So we'll have another 15 minutes of practicing in silence. slowly bringing the practice to an end.